Hey guys, Geoffrey here. In this video, I want to show you the 7 key methods, the 7 key techniques that you can use to break through that resistance of stonewalling. And these are the same 7 techniques that I teach all my students, and it's worked wonderfully for them when done right. And these are also the same things that I do in my own relationship to break through stonewalling myself as well. So if it works for myself and if it works for all my clients, I'm sure that it will work for you as well. Now, before I begin this video, I want to let you know that I'll be hosting a free live masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. So if you want in on that masterclass, stay till the end of this video for the announcement on how you can get in on that. But in the meantime, be sure to subscribe and click the bell button as well to be notified when I post new videos 3 times every single week. Now, before I get to the 7 techniques, I want to level set us a bit and go back to what I said in the previous 2 videos. So if you watch those 2 videos, you will understand the core reasons, the 3 key reasons why people stonewall. And that's the lack of safety, the lack of ability to express something, and the lack of desire to express. Now, the lack of safety here, like we said, is caused by you perhaps getting angry or you suggesting to her that, hey, every time she expresses something with you, something bad happens. And that destroys safety over time and creates this fear in here that if she expresses this thing to you, that you will respond badly. The lack of ability here is all about when you have complex problems in a relationship that's been piled up for many years. Those problems are not just neatly piled up in neat stacks. They're just a complex web of very complex problems. And often, you feel this yourself, where if someone asks you, what is wrong with your relationship? You often say, I don't know. I don't even know where to start because it's so complex. And that's the lack of ability here. And the lack of desire here is all about, your partner has tried expressing herself and her thoughts to you multiple times in the past, but she's learned over time that every time she expresses something with you, that you've proven to her that you either can't listen or you're not willing to have the patience to fully understand the root causes of what she's actually going through. You'll also know that whenever there's stonewalling, there's always going to be resistance. And we also mentioned why it's important for you to fight through that resistance, because if you don't, what you're doing is showing her that you don't have the patience, which destroys safety, that you don't have the patience to uncover the complex issues in the relationship, which perpetuates this lack of ability. And you're also showing her that expressing something to you is actually quite useless, and thereby perpetuating this lack of desire as well. So you have to persist whenever you meet this resistance of stonewalling. So now the question goes, how do we actually persist in a correct way that seems non-pushy and doesn't actually escalate or make the conversation worse for you guys? So I have 7 techniques here, and the first one here is to fight fire with water. What I mean by this is when there is stonewalling on your partner's side, what often happens is we respond with impatience, with frustration, and ultimatums in a way. Now what happens here is that you're fighting fire with fire and you're just perpetuating the problem and destroying that safety like we talked about. So what you want to do is fight fire with water. So what does water look like? Well, first of all, water looks like you being calm. Now, I know that's easier said than done, but if you watch my other video on understanding the 3 key reasons why people stonewall, you will realize that staying calm in the face of stonewalling actually is much easier if you can diagnose and understand the reasons, the core reasons behind stonewalling. And once you understand these core reasons, you will have more compassion and more understanding towards stonewalling. And once you have this compassion and understanding, you can stay calm a lot easier. So if you haven't checked out that video, I would start by checking out that video to make sure that you can frame stonewalling properly in your mind so you can stay more calm in the process. The other thing that helps both of you to stay calm during this process and create more safety here is just gentle physical touch. Now, this physical touch can be an embrace, it can be simply holding hands, or it can be a poke on a finger. It doesn't matter, but this physical touch helps to release a lot of hormones in both your bodies that can actually calm you down really well. Now, this doesn't work for everyone. Physical touch doesn't work for everyone because a lot of people's relationships may be in a point where it's so tense that physical touch may not be possible or comfortable right now. In which case, you can resort to the last thing here, which is silence. Whenever I talk to my partner and it's a very difficult conversation, what I do is I just stay silent. And in that silence, not only am I inviting or giving the stage to my partner to talk and express herself, but I'm also slowing the pace down of the conversation and calming both of us down as well. And it's also a good time for me to gauge her breathing, her tone, and see what she does to actually fill in that silence. And that will tell me whether she's opening up or closing up even further. So silence here is going to be a very powerful technique, and it works whether you're talking in person or talking on the phone. So this is something all of us can do. Now, the second thing you want to do is to get inquisitive and get into discovery mode. Now, a lot of people, when they ask questions, what they're trying to do is to get an answer, which sounds obvious, but if you're trying to ask questions to get a particular answer, what happens is you end up being pushy with your questions. You end up asking very leading questions and presumptive questions. And that actually makes it difficult for her to answer because she's going to sense that you want the conversation to actually be led somewhere you want to go instead of somewhere where she wants to go. So the mindset I want you to get into is when you ask questions, ask with the intent to simply discover and not to solve anything or to correct anything or to judge anything or to say whether something is right or wrong or whether she misinterpreted or interpreted something in the correct way. Just listen with the intent to listen. And if you're struggling to do this, if you're struggling to listen, then I want you to watch the video above my head here. And that video will tell you the right ways to listen and in a way that actually creates more safety in your partner as well. And when you ask questions here, you also want to ask questions that are open-ended. So questions like, tell me how you're feeling. Tell me how you are. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me more about that. Those are all good open-ended questions that you can ask. And the reason why you want it to be open-ended is to avoid, again, asking leading questions to your partner or questions that seem like you are trying to direct or guide the conversation in a particular way that you want it to go instead of where she wants it to go. But if you ask these very open-ended questions, you're letting her decide where to go and letting her kind of uncover that complex web of really messy stuff in her head herself. Now, when you ask these questions, often what you'll get are non-answers. You might get more of, I don't know, or I don't know where to start, or I don't want to talk about it, perhaps. You might get those answers. And if you do get those answers, a great response is simply nothing. So in my conversations, whenever I have those responses, all I do is just stay silent. And silent for a very long time. And what's interesting about this is it's giving your partner this subconscious signal that you're still waiting. You're still waiting for the answer, that the answer she gave wasn't good enough, and you have the patience to wait for the answer. And this actually gives your partner the stage, and the signal is going to be very clear to her, and she's going to want to say something more to fill that silence. And that something more is often the very thing that you need to hear to break through that stonewalling. So understand that when it comes to stonewalling, your silence is your most powerful weapon. Make sure you use that in your conversations. The fourth technique here is about becoming vulnerable yourself. So again, if we look back to the key reasons why people stonewall, is the lack of safety. It's the lack of belief in you that you can understand and fully listen to what she has to say without judging or fixing or something like that. So what I often teach my clients is to be vulnerable yourself first. Talk about your own inner demons. Talk about your own inner discoveries of the ugly side of yourself, the ugly side that you have discovered about yourself. And what happens is when you express it like this, you are telling her that, hey, you have your own ugly stuff, that you understand that everyone has ugly stuff, dark secrets to keep, that if you're able to confront your own and actually look it in the face and be calm and be understanding, that you can do the same for her. So just by being vulnerable yourself, you're going to give her that safety to be vulnerable with you herself. The next technique here is simply letting her know that your door is open. You know, if you've been trying to battle through this resistance and get through that stonewalling, but nothing you do is working, nothing I mentioned here is working, that is completely normal. You know, even in my relationship right now, there are moments when my partner simply does not want to talk about her problems. But that doesn't mean she doesn't want to talk to me, period. It means that she doesn't want to express it right this very second. And if that's the case, you can defer the conversation and let her know that the door is open. And you can simply say something like, look, I understand you don't want to talk right now, but just know that my door is open and you can talk to me anytime. And just leave the conversation and let her decide when she's ready to talk to you about her problems. And leave it at that. Don't need to get mad, don't need to panic. Just simply open your door and she will express her thoughts to you when she's ready. Now, the next one you can try is to acknowledge the complexity of her situation. So again, one of the reasons why people stonewall is that the problem has gotten really complex and she doesn't know where to start. So one thing you can say is, you know, honey, I understand, you know, we've been through a lot and the problems we have now are really complex and you may not know where to start. I get it, right? You can just say that and just simply acknowledge the fact that you understand that the problem is complex and that you understand why she's saying she doesn't know where to start or why she's stonewalling. And in this acknowledgement, you're showing her that you have the compassion. You have this advanced level of understanding that proves to her, oh, maybe this guy will understand after all. And that might get her to open up to you and stop stonewalling. Now, the last one here is not really a technique, but really a suggestion. The suggestion is this: you have 6 different ways you can break through stonewalling here. Don't feel the need to only pick one of these. You can combine them all if you want. All these things can be used together. So for example, you can use the last 2 together here when you end the conversation. So whenever you end the conversation, you can always end it by simply being vulnerable yourself, telling her some deep dark secrets that you have yourself, and then just leaving the door open. So you can say something like, look honey, I had to confront my own inner demons too, and I have my own inner demons too. For example, XYZ. I just want you to know that the door will be open. You can talk to me anytime. So yeah, don't be afraid to talk to me. You can say that. So you can combine any of these 6 together. You can combine 2 of them, 3 of them, all of them. But the fact is you want to try all these methods and see which one is working for your relationship. And if you can execute on these 6 things correctly and understand the right combinations of these 6 things, you'll realize that breaking through stonewalling isn't as hard or difficult as you think. That is always possible. You just need some patience and the right know-how to be able to do it. Now, if you want a free resource that can allow you to lead conversations in a way that makes it easier for you to break through stonewalling, then you want to download the free guide in the description box below this video. And if you want in on that free masterclass that I mentioned in the beginning of this video on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationships from the ground up, then you also want to check out the link in the description box below this video. Now, of course, if you want to connect with me on a more personal level, you can join my free Facebook group where you can post your questions or ask your questions and actually get good advice on them. And if you want to join that Facebook group, the link is also below this video. Now, if you found this video valuable, then I want you to go ahead and like it and subscribe to this channel for more content like this one. And let me know in the comments below, what did you find most insightful or inspiring for you about this video? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, in the meantime, I want you to watch these other videos that I have on stonewalling and how to break through them, how to understand them better, so you can equip yourself with the right knowledge and skills when you're faced with stonewalling. But with that, I will see you in the next video.